coming to the end of stats.
It's been an awfully long journey.
Hasn't always been easy.
In fact, it's been quite difficult.
Beginning, stats was just hard. The questions didn't seem to make sense.
I got confused. I had to keep turning the pages, keep looking back, keep finding other sources.
Maths could be interpreted, and we didn't know what to do. So we focused on the other books, the other courses.
Of course, mechanics was out the window instantly, and Core 1 soon fled.
But one by one, we finished the other units. We finished the other exams.
Yes, Core 2 progressed to nothing, and all that was left was stats.
So, naturally we tried to run away from stats.
But it kept following, it kept pursuing, until we were trapped.
All in a room with stats. We just had to fight it.
That's what it wanted. It wanted us to fight. It had minions. It had followers.
Had an army of cards, dice, fair coins.
It was so mean.
And it was so relentless.
We had the stuff. We had the power. We were building up. But still not enough yet.
Every time I got to the answer was still wrong, but progressively, we were getting better.
In fact, his followers were leaving, Trev. Do you remember?
I do.
They were going.
His power was dwindling, but still strong.
He fought on his own. He didn't need a team.
We kept going. We kept fighting. And soon, we started getting questions right.
Remember, we had the product moment correlation coefficient. We had R. We could do stuff.
As the gradient rises, positive correlation was great, so are we.
Stats was falling. Soon would be time to close the door on stats.
Although the exam was still to come, we had finished everything. We could close the door and leave it behind.
That was stats.
But
we still have a video to do yet, don't we? We still have chapter 10.
We should probably do that.
Probably get it out of the closet, actually.
Yeah, let's do that.
Chapter 10.
The end of stats.
Yes, and it's correlation, which is quite an easy chapter, really.
Yeah, relatively easy. It's got one terrifyingly large equation in it.
But that's just plonking numbers into an equation.
It is, and we believe in you can do that. Yes. So correlation, should hit GCSE, you can have positive, negative, or non-existent correlation. Positive, as y increases, x increases. Negative, 1 increases, the other decreases. And
this is all to do. Random. This is all to do with working out how much correlation you've got in a line.
Yeah, how much your data fits to stuff.
And it says the product moment correlation coefficient is R, and it equals this, which equals this, and equals... And I would advise you use the last one.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do, before really explaining, is jot down what R is equal to. So there you go.
Okay. It's quite a big equation, and it does look quite intimidating, but with your graphic calculator, it'll do every single little bit for you. So you'll just have to write out what the sum of x times y equals, and each one independently, and you'll know what n is. You'll be able to work it out from the question. But it is quite large.
It's very big.
But pretty handy as well. I think these last two chapters, I looked at them and went, I'd actually use this in like other subjects.
Yeah.
So that's quite nice.
And that is it. And it will give you a value always between 1 and -1.
It will. But what do numbers mean, Wayne?
Well, I'll draw out 3 different graphs.
Okay. This all relates back to what we did before with our equation.
It does. So you've got the equation of a straight line has a gradient, and if it's a positive gradient, the x's are going something like this. They're going upwards, and they have a correlation. As one changes, the other increases.
Yep.
The R value, this would be positive because it's going upwards, and if it was 1, it would be perfect. All of these x's
all these lines
would
be on the line. When it's less than 1, it's not so good. In fact, if it's less than 0.8, it's not a great correlation.
If it's less than 0.8, it would probably look like this with some extra x's around here. So it does sort of follow positive, but they're not very close to the line.
No.
And if it was 0, it would be
completely
no correlation whatsoever. As one changes, the other might
There's no
change.
relation to your guess, so it's not a good thing to use. Finally,
-1 is the opposite of +1. It would be a strong negative correlation.
Again, if it's -1, be perfect, and then going down.
Yes.
Less than, more than -0.8 is bad.
Is not very good at all. And you'd be asked to quote this, it would say work out the thingy for a line. It would normally start by doing what we did in chapter 9.
Yep, and you'd get a line and you'd see how good the gradient was, basically.
Yep. So 1, very, very good. 0, no correlation whatsoever. 0.5, correlation but not strong, and the same negative.
Same the other side. Yeah, and that's pretty much that.
So rather than doing a worked example, we're actually going to go straight to a test yourself, which you'd be doing exactly the same thing as in a worked example.
So,
using this.
let's go for that.
See there.
Question time.
Yep. You probably can't see this because the pen's running out, but
John
test
Roberts
yourself. Page 146. Question 3. From this book.
Feel that?
Oh, that's cold.
Yeah.
It's from the fridge, I reckon. So, part A.
Part A.
Number 3.
Number 3. Last question ever.
I know. Look how much left is of the book. All of that's the answers.
And tables.
Tables.
They like tables.
They like tables.
I like tables.
Very like tables.
So it says the table shows a verbal reasoning test score and an English test score for each of a sample of 8 children who took the tests. So there's a table, and you're going to put that into your calculator, and it's going to do things.
I've already put it into my calculator. It's 2 variables when you calculate it.
Yeah,
What's the question?
Oh yeah, sorry. Calculate the value of the product moment correlation coefficient.
Not surprising, because that's the chapter room.
Yeah, so that basically work out R. So in the exam, what you have to do is you might have to write this out, but you definitely have to write it out with the right numbers in it. And the numbers you get from your calculator works out each one in turn. It'll also tell you what n is, but you can probably count that yourself.
This is times by here.
Yep, and that square root will go the whole way across when he's finished. Not that you can see that, because behind. There you go. Done. That's pretty hefty, and as Wayne's got it in already, he's going to give me numbers.
Alright, so calculating to 2 variables. I've already entered the information.
Alright.
Sigma x y is 63,623. Sigma x is 896. Sigma y, 568.
The excitement of this question.
N is 8. Sigma x squared, 100,372. You know what sigma x is? It's 896, and then that's squared and divided by 8. And then that's, all of this is times by all of this, not added. Some people think it's added. Sigma y squared is 40,436. Sigma y is up there, 568 squared, and it's divided by 9. And your calculator, quite friendly,
It's divided by 8.
yes, will work out R for you as well.
Very friendly.
So R is 0.151, rounded up to 3 significant figures, which is always a good idea.
It is always a good idea. So, that's not very good, is it, Wayne?
No, and what's part B? Normally it's that sort of thing. It's asking, is there any
It's comment briefly, in context, on the results obtained in part A.
Okay, so commenting briefly, that's rubbish. That's a weak, very, very, very weak, barely anything at all
So
correlation.
Almost got no correlation, and to say in context, so there's pretty no much correlation between verbal reasoning and English. That's surprising.
It is quite surprising. I guess I'm not very good at English, I'm pretty good at maths, I tend to be able to reason things out, I guess.
Maybe, that makes sense. Yeah.
But there you go, it's not a very good correlation would be your answer between those two things.
So, that's the last question ever.
I know, it's the end of stats. Stats is finished.
Fantastic. So that's that. Should we check it?
We should mark it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I think it's on page 185, I believe.
Okay.
Might be wrong, it's right at the end somewhere. It's
It is the last question, yeah. Yeah, the last question.
Did yourself question 3?
So, it is 0.151 and the PMCC is
What about
close to
correlation?
0. There's very little correlation between the two things.
Yes! Let's go put that little thing back in the fridge.
Time for you to cool down, buddy.
And you, 9 of diamonds,